Well, it was definitely not a family member. um, I mean, I'm not sure that there was anybody that really helped facilitate that coming out process. I think it was really just more, coming out to a person for the first time, not necessarily them helping to facilitate that. It was just more, taking that leap and trusting somebody to come out to. Was, you know, I remember it very vividly. It was, we had just gone for a walk, and the whole point was in the walk I was going to bring that up and talk about that. And like we walked for 2 hours, and then they were like, "Yeah, I need to go." And I'm like, "Can we walk some more?" So it took 3 hours to get to the point where I felt like I could say something. So, you know, I guess in the sense of facilitating, Kelly was good in just giving me the space to do that. But beyond that, I really can't say that I can point to a specific person or people that helped facilitate that. It was just more the people that I did come out to were very supportive, and that helped make it easier to lead into larger conversations. I will say, however, because I was in college during the time of the Matthew Shepard murder, and that actually jump started a more public coming out. Because at the time I was um, the band fraternity, so it's not a real fraternity. um, but I was in this group, and I just decided, because because of what happened with Matthew Shepard, I felt it was really important to be as open and honest with people, because I'm like at that point I'm like representation does matter since it's more personal for people to understand that yeah, people still get killed for being queer, and you need to know that you have friends who are, and that that's something that could happen to them, and that's why it's important for you to know this about me. So if you want to think about a particular instance, that's probably the catalyst for being more openly out. um, especially in high school, it was just more denial. um, it was always there kind of in the back of my head, but it was never anything that I was ever going to act upon, nor was it anything I was ever going to say out loud to anybody, let alone to myself. So that it was really just more of internal protection of myself. And a story that I tell a lot on this is why I felt that need to be protective internally. When I was a teenager, the whole conversation about don't ask, don't tell was happening. So it was on the news a lot. And, I would sit and watch the news. I was probably like 15 or 16 at the time. And um, it was on the news. It was being talked about. And my dad, who was sitting there, said, "Well, I don't understand why gay people can't serve in the military. I think they should be allowed to." And I'm sitting here thinking, "Wow, Dad, that's a pretty progressive thought for you." And wait, he wasn't finished. He followed it up by saying, "Because we can put them all in the front line, kill them all off, so we don't have to worry about them anymore." So that is why that was that's one of the reasons I never came out to my parents, because it's like I don't know what their reaction is going to be. If this is what he's saying openly in front of me, how is he going to react? So that's why, they're yes, in a way I was close to my parents, but also in a different way. I was not close to my parents because they didn't know who I was really. So, you know, I have a very rich and fulfilling life outside of now my brothers all know now. Like it's not a secret or anything, but like we don't talk about it. It's not really brought up. My brothers have one of my brothers has said something at one point about, well, I don't really think of gay people as being um, fully participating in society. And I was like, why? He goes, well, they don't have kids. And I was like, really? So having children and screwing them up and putting them out into the world with the trauma that you're inflicting upon the kids is contributing to society. So yeah, as a kid, a teenager, and then also finding a way to be able to come out in college was an interesting journey for me. Well, I'm the executive director of an LGBTQ center now, so like I'm really out. But no, I mean, honestly, it was better. I really wasn't hiding anything from the people that I was spending most of my time with, the people that I cared the most about. Um, there was no secrecy about who I was. I was able to date, which was fun, as opposed to dating girls who ended up being lesbians. So we were helping each other, I guess, in that sense. Uh, but I think definitely once I came out, it was one a relief. You're not carrying around this secret anymore. You're not really hiding anything from people. Um, so that's a really nice kind of thing about that. And the funny thing is, um, there for a good amount of time before I moved up here for this job, I kind of forgot straight people even existed because my life was so in the queer community that you just kind of forget there's a straight world out there as well. So that's kind of where I lived. Coming up here, obviously not as big of a queer community as down in Indianapolis. You're met with, oh, right, yeah, straight people do exist and they're everywhere. Well, it depends on how they express that opinion. Um, if if they're like some individuals that I've heard where there is no conversation to be had. I've heard, um, I've seen videos of pastors at church talking about rounding up all the queers and putting them in